So today I got into my car from work and noticed my car finally had the new update for my Model 3. So without further ado, I'm going to test the same road that I tested about a week and a half ago with the old update and see how it performs. First thing I noticed is that I even have the option for autopilot on this road, which I never did before. It's not picking up the correct speed, which is 55, but it is letting me engage. I'll keep it at 45 just to be safe. Actually, that is the limit it's giving me. Wow. This is kind of amazing. It's actually holding pretty well. I'm going to actually turn it down to 40. Feel a little safer at that speed, especially with this curve coming up. What it just did back there, I would have never seen the old software do something like that. So let's see if it slows down here. This is a turn I am actually super terrified to try it in. Yeah. Better. I just don't want to risk it yet. Being that I just got this update, I'm not super familiar with the new autopilot. So I'm going to take it down to the same roads that I tested last time. This is my typical commute to work and back. At least part of my commute. It's not the whole thing. A lot of it is these back country roads where a lot of tight curves. There's some sweeping curves and a lot of hills, a lot of things that have caused autopilot to do some crazy things that make me not trust it on these roads. On the highway, works perfectly fine, works great, but I'm hoping that this update at least cleans things up to make it a little more usable for my commute. So let me get on to the first stretch of the highway, or road, or whatever you want to call this. And I was hoping to avoid some cars, so I don't have follow cars, but I don't think I'll be able to do that. But I'll give it my best shot. So I'm going to engage. First thing I notice is that the autopilot engage indicator comes on instantaneously. Usually it takes a while. And I just went over a little hill right there and it worked great. Old autopilot would just try to tear me off the road as soon as it goes over and can't see. So far, so good. The real test will be the curves up ahead. But already I feel that it is substantially smoother. It's less jerky. Even just on a normal straight road, the old version would just vibrate and jerk around a lot and just didn't feel smooth like a human driver. What I've noticed so far in my drive home today and right now is that it's very smooth wheel motion, so it doesn't make you feel like, you know, someone's jerking the wheel around. One of the things I did notice on my way home was that in some of the wider lanes where it wouldn't have worked before, the screen is actually indicating that the lane is wider. So it is aware when the lanes change, and it doesn't necessarily grip to one side of the road like it would before. So hopefully this guy's going right. If not, we might be following him. No, he's going straight. I'll give him a little bit of headroom. Someone following me too, so that always makes testing autopilot tricky because you never know what the person behind you is thinking. But hopefully this update's better to the point where, you know, it's not as embarrassing. So one of the things you can do with autopilot is if you're in a speed restricted zone like most of this road is, you can manually apply the accelerator. So it's limited me to 45, but I can manually press on the accelerator and get the car to go a little faster than that. When I come up to the curves, I'll take my foot off the accelerator and let the car do its thing. Like right now, the car is doing all the work. This curve has always failed spectacularly, and so far it is slowing down and it is successfully navigating. That is kind of amazing. And so let me accelerate to the next curve and then I'll come back in a second. So I was able to put some distance between me and the guy behind me so he's not following me too closely. This is the curve that has always been crazy disastrous. It is slowing down appropriately. So far so good. And then it has a tight right turn here. And it is staying in the lane. Taking me down a little slower than I would personally drive, but I'm happy to have it go slower than faster, and holy crap, it actually worked. I did not actually think the update would be good enough to actually navigate that, so that was actually crazy amazing. Alright, next curve. This one isn't too terrible. It's a bit of a sweeping curve. Doesn't look like my car is going to slow down too much, staying at 45. Alright, that was very successful. Next sweeping curve. Looking good. Alright. One more sweeping curve. Oncoming cars, slightly terrifying, but it is holding in place. Alright. Alright, so here's one of the 3 90-degree turns that I don't know how it will do. Okay, nope. Nope. It probably could have navigated it if it slowed down, but it did not want to drop down the speed. So let's see if these next 2 curves are any different. I'm hoping that it recognizes that these are very tight turns. So 45 is the limit, and my car is slowing down. So maybe that was user error on my part in the last one. I was accelerating too quickly close to the turn, and it did not want to slow down. And it actually navigated that almost perfectly. Went over a little bit, but it actually did it. I would have never expected it to actually correctly navigate these curves. Coming into the next curve, it's not slowing down on this one. So it might not be pulling the correct data from their database. I know Tesla uses tiles to figure out what the speeds the car should drive in these curves. So I assume once those are more refined, we will have better results. But that was actually pretty impressive. Now I'm going to flip around and head back the other way and see how it performs in the opposite direction. Alright, I made my U-turn and I'm heading back the opposite direction. Autopilot engaged, 45 miles per hour. It'll actually let me do it faster here, but I'm going to keep it at 45. Let's see if it slows down at all. And it is... Nope. Tried to take me off the road there, so I'm going to take over. This next curve is the one that I had success with, so I'm assuming it will correctly slow down for this curve. Nope, not doing it. Okay, it's slowing down now, but not correctly. So going the other direction, it slowed down into the curve perfectly. On the way back, it went full speed into the curve and slowed on the out. So something needs to be fixed with however they're pulling that curve speed data. Works in one direction but not the other, so I'm not sure what that's about. Let's try this one. I don't feel comfortable with the car coming. It didn't feel like it was slowing down though, so not sure how it's performing there. For a lot of these roads, like I was saying earlier, it limits you to whatever it believes is safe, since there's no divider on this road. If 45 is the max it'll allow me to do. Last time I tested this road, this did not work at all right here. But so far so good. I'm doing 45. It's going over the middle a little bit. Not too bad. But these curves up here are what usually throw it off. On the other direction, it actually navigated these perfectly, but it's not slowing down yet. Nope. Car actually told me to take over in that case, so it was aware that that was not something it could do, which is good to see that it recognizes it can't do that, but maybe not so safe that it tells me halfway through the curve. Alright, so mixed luck. Definitely huge improvement over the last version. It's doing things I would have never expected it to do. This is the trickiest part of my commute, autopilot wise, so I never expected to perfectly navigate this part. The rest of my commute, it should be able to do fine. Highway driving has always been pretty good, 99%. So I'm curious to try this update on the highway and see how it performs on straight roads. I would assume that it's going to do substantially better. I've read a lot about how changing lanes is a lot smoother. Before it would just rapidly shift you lanes, and which is kind of terrifying. So we'll see how that does. But I like testing it on these more complicated roads because I feel like if it can navigate a lot of these kind of curves and situations, it will be able to handle most things down the road. Alright, so we're coming up to one of the last curves in this test. This is one of the first ones I started off with, and off the bat it is driving me off the side. Now it's straightening out a little bit, and it is kind of working. Okay. I will give that a C. It didn't drive me completely off the road, but it also didn't keep me on the road, so nice try, car. Overall, pretty happy with this update. I think it shows that full self-driving is a little closer than I believed it would have been with the last update. So I'm excited to see what they push next. But for now, I'm very happy with what they've done. Here's a bonus. I'm gonna run back this part of the road in the opposite direction at 40 miles per hour now that I have no one in front of me or behind me. There's some pretty good hills here, which in the past have consistently knocked the autopilot out. So we'll see how it handles it. This first drop right here isn't too terrible. Let me actually bump it up to 45. See how it handles that. So we can't see the road beyond this hill right here. The old autopilot would probably right here, jerk to the right and try to take me off the road. This was perfectly smooth. Didn't feel like it was trying to do anything weird. Here's another little dip down. Works great. I will keep my hands on the wheel though. Never know. And here comes another dip down, where in the past it would have taken me off the road. So we have one final little crest in the hill right here. Really curious how this one's going to work. If this is smooth, I will be very surprised, because in the past it has not been. We have a ped too, so I will take over, go around. But it did successfully go over that curve, so very happy, very happy. Can't say it enough. Loving this update so far. In addition to the autopilot, you also get heated seats in the back. Yay, I guess. I never sit in the back, so I don't really care that much, but it's cool to see that they finally pushed that through software. Beyond that, still a great car. Love it. This update just makes it that much better, and it can only get better from there. So